Good to see you again. Want me to start? Yeah, thank everybody for coming. Excited to be back at it. We're close here, approaching the start of the season. Guys have had a really good fall. I think we've worked really hard, improved. The trip to France was terrific, and in many ways, obviously, the basketball was good, but everything we gained from camaraderie and just getting to know each other and spending time together was probably even more valuable. And I really like this team. I think we've got a great group of kids that really like one another and get along, and I think they bring a lot of versatility, so we can play some different ways. And our young guys, obviously, enthusiastic, eager, I think a talented group. And then our older guys who've been through the wars, I think, have really helped them and have shown some maturity through the process here with the last couple of months of work to help bring those guys where we need them. And rock the John this week, so excited for our guys to get an opportunity to interact with fans a little bit, and then soon thereafter we'll be into the season. So, here we go, time to go, and excited about another year. Questions?
Coach, I guess the biggest question everybody wants to know is what's the likelihood PJ might be able to play in the opener?
Don't know yet. We're optimistic he'll play at some point in November, but I don't know when. That might be hard, but I'm not going to say anything's impossible. It's really up to the doctors, and I think I've said this the last maybe week or so. The next couple of weeks are really important. He's really hasn't done a lot with us yet. He's just starting to get out on the court, and he's done a good job and made some progress in terms of running on the side and conditioning and all that, but there's nothing like being out there and playing and getting reps and adjusting to what happens in a basketball game. And I don't care how many sprints you run and how many sleds you push, it's not the same as playing. And just all the movements and the change, the sudden changes and things you can't predict. So we'll cross our fingers, hope that things go well, but I don't know when the timetable will be. It's just kind of the next couple of weeks of good practice will be important.
When did it change? I know y'all talked to maybe January. You might get them out. What?
Well, I think when they said January, they were being cautious initially. I was told probably in December. But PJ just has attacked his rehab like, a guy who's experienced at it, unfortunately, and he is. But, again, it still may be into November, December. I don't know. I don't want to say that it's going to be any sooner than that. Who knows what it'll be. I just know that he's, according to the doctors, he's been ahead of schedule for, at least a month now. And so that's been good. And he hasn't had any setbacks, which is a big thing. As he's done the next, whatever they've asked him to do, he's been able to do it and probably exceed what they thought he would do at the time. He's highly motivated, as you would imagine. He's gone through all of it. I think, that the biggest thing for me, for our fans, for everybody is to make sure that we're patient with him. Here's a guy who was playing tremendous basketball end of last season. I thought he was playing great. And unfortunately, he didn't get to build on that. He didn't get to go right into, take a couple weeks off and then go right back and keep working on his game. He had to have the foot surgery and then rehab from that. And then literally the first time back out on the court, in what we would be doing here soon, he got hurt again. And so he went right back under the knife, and that's all he's been doing again is rehabbing. And so, he's obviously been shooting and doing some of that here the last couple of weeks, but he hasn't been playing. And so we've got to be patient with his, productivity and what we expect out of him and hope and, let him kind of get his feet under him and get comfortable throughout the course of the season because, when he's right, he's one of the 10 best players in the league. He's a talent. He's got great hands. He can move. And where you have seen growth is just his maturity as a young man. He's obviously much different even from last year at the beginning of the year in terms of how he views practice, our team, his role in our locker room, all the things that we need him to do. He's just much more mature. And, that's what older players bring. And when your best players are your hardest workers and best leaders, that's when you have a chance to have special teams.
Is he at the point
We're just starting to work on that. Yeah, we're just starting to get to that point. We have not yet. So that's why the next couple of weeks are important to see just how he's moving.
Coach, the trip to France went a little bit differently than Italy. You really blew out the competition. Looked like Alex shot the ball really well, and Josh had a good showing.
Yeah.
What were some of your biggest takeaways from that?
Yeah, I mean, the games themselves, we had one really good game where it was competitive late, and our guys rallied and pulled away, and that was good to see. The other games were easier. Nobody's scouting you. You're not scouting them. You're just kind of showing up and playing, and so it's easier to get your best players or best shooters shots. But you still got to make them. And, things that have stuck out with the team is we've shared the ball really well. These guys just really like each other. They've taken to each other, and some of it is some of that youthful exuberance. The young guys, they're just such good kids. They want to learn. They want to be a part of something, and they know they need help. And so the older guys are there to give them help. But the older guys really love the personalities of the younger guys and the way the older guys are communicating with the young. It's just been fun. And we roomed freshmen with seniors and juniors throughout the trip, and so I think that really helped build relationships even faster. And so I think that's, it's funny, we talk about having superpowers, and one of our superpowers this year is just our genuine love and care and concern for each other. And I talk a lot, to our teams over the years that just because you're a bunch of guys wearing the same jersey doesn't make you a team. That there's sacrifice and things that you have to do to earn that right to really call yourself a true team. And to be honest with you, the more, because of probably society today, there are less and less true teams out there in sports. And I think we have a chance to really have a true team, guys that really care about each other and care about winning and care about what we're trying to get done. And will sacrifice for their teammates if that's what they think is best. And so I'm hopeful that carries through. Now you have to deal with some adversity to see if it's really true. But I think our guys are in a really good place that way, and they go at each other really hard in practice every day, but they're right back having fun and laughing and goofing around in the locker room. So I just really like this group. They're very coachable. I think they're hungry and motivated. And they bring a versatility that's going to be fun for us to coach.
As far as like roles and rotations and that kind of stuff, you feel like you have a decent idea going into the year? Is it going to be kind of like?
Well, I think the thing that is different about our team is I think we can do a lot of different things. And so, it's easy to say, well, we'll just, our older guys and kind of roll with them. And I think, maybe we'll start that way. But, we really have 5 kind of guards that could play almost any of those 3 positions, and you could play Josh Beadle and Dylan and Chase. You could play Chase and Alex and Brevin. You can play, Chase and Josh and Al. I don't think it really matters a whole lot, and it really hasn't mattered to our guys, which I think is kind of refreshing. Guys just want to play and help the team win, and whatever the role you need me to do, Coach, I'll do it. Now at the same time, I think we can, especially if we get PJ back, we can then also play some big lineups. We can play Hunter Tyson at a 3 every once in a while. Chauncey Wiggins can be a 3, and now we can play 2 traditional bigs, and we can be a little bigger than we've been at times and give us some versatility there because we have a little bit more depth. So in terms of settling into a lineup, not really as much. I think the bigger challenge for me is really the adjustment of PJ when he's ready to come back, because we've played so long without him. We've been working without him with Ian and Ben since April, and we played games in July, and we had a scrimmage last week, and we've been preparing for that for the last couple of months in terms of our team, and we haven't really prepared with PJ in mind because we didn't think it was really possible. And so now we're kind of beginning to integrate him back, and what does that look like? And so we'll see.
Where have Ian and Ben made the biggest strides since last season, and where do each of them need to get better?
Yeah, I think they both made really good strides. Just consistency is where they need to get better. It's not any one specific skill. I think both guys have really improved, and their confidence continues to grow as they get more reps. And, the trip to Italy France was good because they made some baskets and felt comfortable and played a lot, and the scrimmage was good. They both played about half the time, and both were productive, and they can both do a lot of little things. Ben's a little bigger. Ian might be a tad bit more skilled, but Ben's really improved his skill. They're both pretty physical. They're both pretty strong. They're guys that are developing nicely in your program. They're freshmen that grew and got a little bit better and played more at the end of last year, and now they've taken another good step, and I'm very pleased with both of them. He just, he's just a phenomenal young man. I mean, he's a tremendous leader. I mean, he really cares about the team, cares about winning, cares about Clemson, cares about his teammates, extremely hard worker, continuing to develop his game. I mean, last year you begin to saw he could score around the basket with some moves. He's putting the ball on the floor a little bit more now and going by people and making a few plays. He's obviously always been a pretty good shooter. He can shoot the ball. He just continues to grow and develop. His game evolves a little bit. We try to always add about one skill to your game in the off season. Really get good at one more thing, and I think he's a guy that has really done that throughout his career, and as well as all of his basketball skills, just his leadership. I mean, he's really been a good voice in our program the last 2 years, and our team really took a hit when he got hurt last year. That was a bigger loss than people realize, more than just the baskets and the rebounds, but just his confidence and his voice every day. He's consistent, and he's not afraid to be a leader. And I think sometimes now that's a challenge for some people. They don't want to, talk to other people, tell them what to do or hold people accountable. And I think your best teams are when the players are holding each other accountable. And he's a guy that he'll do that.
What does Brevin bring to the table for his game?
Experience, versatility in terms of being able to add some shooting, and he's a strong guy. He's different than Alex. He's bigger and stronger than Alex. They both can shoot, but enthusiasm because of his excitement to be at Clemson. We haven't really seen Brevin at his highest because he still has kind of been battling the knee and getting all the way back, but he's just about there. I think he feels more comfortable today than he has since he's been with us. But he's, you guys have seen him, very lighthearted, very fun. I mean, easygoing personality. Every once in a while needs to be told that we need to be a little more, over here to the right. But he's a good player, and I think where he's going to be really valuable for us is in the heat of battle, like when we're on the road in ACC environments. He's been there. He's done it. He knows he's not going to be bug-eyed like some freshmen might be, or young players that haven't played a lot in those kind of environments. You've got a proven guy that has made shots in big games, and so he'll help us a lot that way.
Seems like he's cultivated a really good relationship with Alex already off the bat. Has he kind of bonded with his teammates more than most transfers?
I think it's been a little easier because he probably feels like he knows the guys, having been in the league and just been around Clemson a little bit. But it's not just he and Alex; it's all of the guys. I mean, I think he knows some of the guys, Josh and PJ, from being from the state, and so I think it was a seamless transition. It is different a lot of times when you have grad guys or fifth-year guys like we had last year, and then you've got some young freshmen and sophomores, and sometimes teams don't always gel as quickly because the grad guys and the freshmen don't have that much in common, to be honest with you. One guy's getting there and trying to figure it out, and the other guys, the freshman's really eager, and the older guy's kind of like, yeah, we got to get through this to get to the games, and it's just different, right? They're in different stages. I think this group has been different. Some of it because Hunter, the nature of Hunter having been here for 5 years, and Hunter really wants to win and really wants to lead and really wants to continue to grow our culture with the young guys we have, and is very proud of our program and our culture and how we do things. Brevin, because he's coming back to Clemson, he's still got some of that youthful enthusiasm that some older guys might not have. And so that's why I say this group has been a little bit different. It's been a lot of fun. They've been, really special together. It's fun to watch them. I've said this before, but one of the great things of the trip was just watching the guys in Paris. There'd be bikes there, and guys would go. There'd be 7 or 8 of them, and it could be anybody at any age. And one day it's these 7 or 8, the next day it's these 6 or 7, and it's just all different guys going and hanging out and doing fun stuff together, and not planning it, and just happening organically. And I think when that's happening, that's really good for your team.
That defense has been such a big part of your team's identity over the years. Obviously got away from that a little bit last year. What do you need to see to know that your team's going to get back to the defense you expect? Yeah,
we have to play better on the defensive end, especially late in games. I thought we had more games at the end last year where we needed stops and didn't get them that cost us. You're sometimes going to have the ball and you're going to get a shot and you don't make it, but if you've got the lead in the last minute or so and you're trying to get stops to finish it off, you hope you can do that, right? And last year's team wasn't able to do that. I think that's one of the major areas of improvement for PJ is he's got to take another step as a defensive center. He's got to be even better in his ball screen coverage. He's got to protect our rim. He's got to rebound more. He's got to affect shots more. I think that's something that he and I have talked about. That's one of the disappointing things for me is that was something I really wanted to work with him on this off season. And it's, we're going to have to wait until he gets all the way back before you can really do all those things. But he's a big part of that because he's kind of your middle linebacker and, the center and Ben and Ian, that's what they've been taught. And the way the game is played now, with all the ball screens, with 5 men, those guys are asked to do a lot. The point guards and the centers are asked to do a lot in basketball right now, more so than the wings, especially with all the pick and roll coverages and getting up and down the floor. I mean, there's a lot on those guys. And so it starts there with our defense, and we got to be better at that position.
What's the challenge like of trying to, balance you're obviously going to play different when PJ gets back, just trying to figure out how much time to spend.
That part's really hard right now. Like that's one of the biggest challenges is figuring out what that does to the other guys that have kind of all like you would think we have Hunter and RJ kind of working against each other every day at the 4 and Chauncey Wiggins a little bit and Ian and Ben kind of battling every day at the 5. And so you get a comfort level of you might switch 1 or 2 guys right here or there and take a look and see what happens. Well, then the big fella comes back and it kind of moves a lot. Might move Ian down. It might move Hunter. It might move people around. And, that affects other things. And so, that's going to be a challenge for our whole team. I say we're a team, and I say we all are, care about each other and really want to win. But the big fella is going to take some minutes from some other guys that for a long time now they've been getting more minutes. When he comes back and he's really at full strength and he's playing 28, 32 minutes, those are minutes that are coming off of another plate. And so that'll be a challenge. And so just managing how much he'll be able to play, how to play, because we play a little different with him sometimes. And so that's been a real challenge for our staff and something we've just started to look at here the last week or so.
Chauncey Gibson, 6'5". It's been a while since you had a guard that tall. How good is it to get some size at the guard position?
It is. He's a 2-3 wing. He brings size. He brings some shooting. Pretty good decision making. He's probably struggling a little bit right now just with physicality and pace. Having said that, I think he has a good upside moving forward. We're talking. There's a chance we could redshirt him. We're not 100% sure. We're discussing it a little bit and kind of monitoring how things are going. I thought it was a really good process for Josh Beadle last year, just allowing a guy to gain some strength and we have some experienced players bringing Brevin in that's probably eaten into him. And if you start moving Hunter Tyson now down to 3 occasionally, now it gets hard to play all these guys. And so we got to look at it. But I like his length. He's going to be a big, strong kid in another year. Like, he's got good legs. I mean, he can fill out, and he's got a little bounce to him. So he's got some ability that I really like, and size, as you meant, at the position. I think that's one of the things RJ Dylan, Chauncey, and Chauncey are both, I mean, all four of those guys are good size for their position, and a couple of them have great strength already. So that's rare as freshmen.
Sorry, I know you said RJ and Dylan will play meaningful right away. What about Chauncey Williams?
Maybe, yeah. There's a chance. I mean, he's 6'10", like he's just big, long. He, he needs strength. He's still getting comfortable with the pace of everything, but there are days he does things that other guys can't do because he's 6'10". I mean, he can shoot over top of people. He can make threes. He's slowly figuring it out, and it's been fun. It's been exciting. He's a different kind of player, and so it's watching him adjust is he's like a young colt out there. I mean, just boy, he does some things every once in a while. Like he's one of the only guys on the team that can do that. And now then he has trouble with some plays, but he's got a big ceiling.
Being that Brevin worked with Earl
Yeah.
the last few years, how much does it help you on the defensive end because of the philosophy you guys have?
A little, not as much as you would think. I mean, it's a lot of us play similar in some ways, but there's a lot of terminology that's probably a little bit different. And but it is good, that he knows that that's going to be important here, right? And if he wants to play consistently, he better play on that end. And he's found that out a few days in practice. But he's been really good. Brevin's been good. I think he's excited, and when he's locked in and he's healthy, he can be a physical presence that we need. David Collins was a good player for us. He was a big, strong wing that when he was locked in on some people, he could really guard, and found a way to score some baskets around, and ended up really at the end of the year, I thought he got comfortable and played really well. And so we needed another bigger bodied guy to help guard some bigger wings. I think Brevin feels that.
Coach, early game at South Carolina this season. Thoughts about that and just the way the schedule lays out?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not thinking a whole lot about it right now, but I think we have a really good schedule. We've got some teams, Bellarmine, Towson, that, won their leagues last year. We've done this the last several years, tried to find a couple games against, good mid-major teams that we think can win their league and can be quality wins. The Richmonds and the Loyola Chicagos are outstanding neutral court games against really good teams that are very well coached. That good chance those are tournament teams. And then obviously our TCU, Iowa, Cal tournament, good. TCU's a top 15 team in the country. Iowa's been to the tournament a bunch, has really good players. So yeah, we've got a lot of really good games. Penn State, I think, is kind of a sleeper team in the Big Ten. They had a nice first year with their coach, and so they'll probably make a little jump as a sophomore team for him. And so it's really good. And then obviously the league's going to be great. So it's kind of strange. Last year the league was kind of downplayed because we didn't play very well in November and December, but by February the league, having been in it, the league was as good as it usually is, and it bore that out in the tournament with all the success. I think there's something wrong with college basketball now where it's so much of all of the narrative is written about leagues in November and December. And once that's done, it's hard to flip it back. You don't play other non-conference games later in the year to ever give it a chance. And, you have a league like ours where maybe you have a bunch of turnover and teams are just, Miami was different later in the year than early. Duke, teams just get better. You're so much different than you are November to February. Sometimes you're not even playing some of the same guys as many minutes. Maybe you've changed your style. You thought you were going to be able to play zone. You can't play zone. It doesn't work. You need to go back to what you were doing, or you need to press more, whatever. And now you're playing completely different. And by the time everybody gets to the league in January and February, you figured your team out, and now you try to coach them the best you can. But it takes a little while to figure your team out, and so that's a problem. And we've talked as a league and about what to do. Do you open up some dates in the middle of the league? I don't know. Do you play more league games early and open up dates? Do you play less league games and then put more non-conference games middle of I don't know. We've talked about a bunch of different scenarios, but obviously the TV part of it makes it challenging to change. So, but nobody was very happy with us getting 5 teams in last year. That's not good for the league. So,
Probably have time for 1 or 2 more if anyone has one.
Chase Hunter, what are you expecting out of Chase?
yeah, I think Chase has had a really good off season. It's, you know, he's battled some injuries, off and on, foot and hand injuries, and is, you know, hasn't had as many, I guess, off seasons or quality practices in a row to kind of get development. But I think he's on point to have a good year. He's playing a lot of point guard for us, and, you know, he's always been a good decision maker. He's always been a guy that can handle and make plays out of the pick and roll, and he's just playing with a lot of confidence. He can play all over the place. I just like where he is right now. Unfortunately, he was the guy that got a knee in the thigh in practice, kind of the week that we went to France, and so he wasn't moving very well that week over in France, and I think we didn't even play him one game. We probably shouldn't have played him much at all. So that was kind of misleading, but he's back practicing very well, and he's an important player, and I think he'll be really good this year.
Was Normandy as special and moving for you and your guys as you thought it would be, and did your daughter handcuff you and make you go up to the top of the Eiffel Tower?
No, I'm petrified of heights, so no, I was not gonna get anywhere near that. We took pictures at the bottom, so we can check that box, that and the Arc de Triomphe. But no, Normandy was out of sight. I mean, it's inspiring. It's humbling to think about the courage that the young people had to get out of those boats. And when you're up on those cliffs and you're looking at, like, thinking about being in a boat and trying to get out of there and get up a cliff, well, they're shooting at you and there's nowhere to hide. I mean, the courage it's incredible. The sacrifice, it's like when you sit there and you kind of watch movies on it and you see some things, and then you get there and you really see what they had to do, you don't know how it's even possible. And I mean, it makes you really understand that we haven't done much in our generation, and we need to be mindful of that to those that have, because it's completely different. Then you go to the cemetery, right, National Cemetery, and you see all that, and that was really well done. And Max Allen and President Clements were with us, well, Max couldn't be with us, but Max had organized it to where we had, I think it was 5 or 6 Clemson students that are buried there, and that was really memorable and moving to go to some of those graves with your team, right, and take some of your team there and learn a little bit about those people. So that was well done, and Max Allen really did a lot of work on that, so thankful to him for that part of the trip.
Outside of PJ, everyone else, so.
Right now, everybody's good. We've had a couple groin injuries and ankles and stuff, but we bounced back, and right now, as of today, we're good.
Anybody
Okay?
else?
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate y'all coming.
Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, thank you.